We've all seen depictions of a Gorgon before, whether it was through Greek myths, the terrible Percy Jackson movies, or even Monsters, Inc. These are all easily recognizable as Gorgons, terrifying women with snakes for hair that turn our heroes to stone with a glance. Easy, right? Then what the hell is this? Well, my friends, this is the D&D Gorgon, of course. Now, I know what you're thinking. Terrifying for sure, but not a lady, no snakes for hair, no petrifying glare. It looks more like the Wall Street Bull than the fearsome Medusa. Seriously though, what's going on here? If you flip to page 171 of the Monster Manual, expecting to find the mythical monster that can turn anyone who looks at it to stone, you're instead confronted by a metal-plated bowl with putrid green breath. To find our terrifying snake hybrid, instead you have to look under Medusa. But why is that? Was Gary Gygax just confused? Is this some crazy Mandela effect? Well, the short answer is no. Gygax wasn't confused, and we're still in the Berenstain Bears reality. For now. To figure out the long answer, though, we actually have to go to two places. First, we have to go all the way back to 1607, which is surprising given that D&D wasn't published for 367 more years, which coincidentally is about how long it's been since the last time most of you have actually gotten to play D&D. But tis. Back to 1607. Gary Gygax was quoted several times as having gotten inspiration for several monsters from a medieval bestiary. 1607 was the year that a book titled The History of Four-Footed Beasts and Serpents, describing at large their true and lively figure, their several names, conditions, kinds, virtues, countries of their breed, their love and hatred to mankind, and the wonderful work by Edward Topsell, whereunto is now added The Theatre of Insects, or Lesser Living Creatures, aka The History of Four-Footed Beasts and Serpents. Quite the title. To my knowledge, in this book, we find one of a few recorded uses of the term Gorgon to mean something other than the snake-haired women of Greek myth. Instead, it refers to the Libyan beast. Topsell's description paints a vivid picture of the Gorgon that you can definitely see inspiring a fantasy fan. It's a fearful and terrible beast to behold. It hath high and thick eyelids, eyes not very great, but much like an ox's or bugle's, but all fiery blooded, which neither look directly forward nor yet upwards, but continually down to the earth, and therefore are called in Greek kataboplanta. It eateth deadly and poisonful herbs, and if at any time he see a bull or other creature whereof he is afraid, sendeth forth of his throat a certain sharp and horrible breath, which infecteth and poisoneth the air above his head, so that all living creatures which draw in the breath of that air are grievously affected thereby. Losing both voice and sight, they fall into lethal and deadly convulsions. Now, that monstrous bull has the breath, but not that great metal body. For that, we need to check out another Greek monster, the Calcatori. These were a pair of bulls made by Hephaestus and eventually killed by the hero Jason. They sported bronze hooves and mouths and could breathe fire. Put these two bodacious bovine monsters together, and we start to see a resemblance. So rather than the cursed form of Medusa, we instead get a great bull that purposefully brews a deadly toxin in its stomach by eating the worst herbs it can find, and then sports a reinforced metal body. Sounds quite a bit like the D&D Gorgon we all know and love, right? It also lines up with Gary Gygax's description of where he got some of his inspiration. So it's safe to assume that when the Monster Manual was being put to paper to include the poison-belching, metal-skinned hybrid bull, the Medusa became a Medusa, and the Gorgon got to have its own spot. But wait, why does it breathe petrifying breath instead of poison? My guess? The green dragon could already do that, and something had to set this beautiful bull apart from the rest. So now, decades later in D&D 5e, we still have an armor-plated bull. But this mistake doesn't end there either. D&D, being the popular game it was, well, popular for the time at least, inspired a lot of other fantasy franchises. The video game series Castlevania also features this mighty metal-plated bull and also calls it a Gorgon. And seeing as how Castlevania 2 also borrowed the cover of a certain iconic vampire adventure, it's safe to say the two may be connected. If you are looking for the typical Medusa in the Monster Manual, there is some good news. Just look for Medusa and you'll find what you seek. Or maybe change up your plans and give the Gorgon a try instead. Stay foolish.